The search continues for a Markham woman missing under suspicious circumstances. Investigators believe she was kidnapped. We'll have the latest coming up tonight.
Vandalism at multiple businesses and a synagogue in Thornhill is being investigated as a suspected hate crime.
And easing congestion on Spadina, the busy stretch, gets a dedicated bus lane. Will it help the afternoon commute? We're going to find out.
And we're less than an hour away from the MLB trade deadline. We're going to tell you if the Jays made any moves coming up.
You're watching Live at 5.
Good evening. I'm Bakari Savage.
And I'm Lena Latifat. Thank you for joining us. The search for a missing Markham woman has shifted to Kawartha Lakes tonight.
For the latest on the disappearance of Ying Zhang, let's go live to CP24's Beatrice Vaisman, who's near Woodbine and Stills. This is where Zhang was last seen. Beatrice.
It was, Bakari, you're absolutely right. It was Thursday that Ying Zhang was seen here at her workplace. It's a wellness center where she works here at Woodbine and Steelcase in Markham. She did not come home after work, and that's when her family became concerned and called York Regional Police. Now, the very latest to our newsroom is video out in Kirkfield. This is in the Kawartha Lakes area, about 90 minutes northeast from where we are here in Markham. That's where officers in their white jumper suits were seen combing a pretty rural area. And an OPP cruiser was also seen guarding that area as well, Bakari and Lena. So far, as we know, there's nothing that's been found, or at least police aren't telling us that they've found anything at this point, though they do say, York Police does, that several other locations have also essentially been raided and searched by police as well. Again, this 57-year-old woman was here at work on Thursday. She was this is where she was last seen. Police say almost simultaneously in that same time, there was a white van that was seen leaving the area, and a man who's now been charged by York Police who was seen leaving with a garbage bin or a garbage can. Here's more from Constable Dixon with York Police.
One arrest has been made at this time. The investigation is still very much ongoing, and we are always looking to ensure that everyone responsible for any offense is brought into custody. At this time, there's no indication of anyone outstanding, but investigators will be continuing to look forward.
I want to show you as well the person who police have now arrested and charged. He's a 26-year-old man from East Gwillimbury. He's facing a number of charges, including kidnapping, forcible confinement, and aggravated assault. Again, police are appealing to anyone who has any information about this white van as well. There's a license plate that they've released as well that they're asking people to keep an eye out for, along with anyone who might have information about this van or the garbage bin associated with it. Police have not revealed the relationship between the 57-year-old victim, the woman who's missing, and this 26-year-old man. In fact, York Police say at this point they're not even sure if she's still alive, but certainly they're eager to track her last movements, and that's what took them out to Kawartha Lakes. Obviously, the family of 57-year-old Ying Zhang is eager to hear any news, and best case scenario, they'd be happy to have her back home safely. So if you've got any information to help York Police, give them a call. Back to you.
Okay, CP24's Beatrice Vaisman. Well, York Regional Police are investigating pro-Palestinian and anti-Israel graffiti in a predominantly Jewish neighborhood. This is in Vaughan. This is being investigated as suspected hate crime.
Yeah, one of the incidents captured on security camera footage. The footage shows someone dressed in a Halloween mask and dark clothing writing Free Gaza on the sign of a synagogue on Yonge Street in Thornhill. Free Palestine was also painted on the building's window.
Quite shocked because, you know, we do experience hate as a Jewish community here in Canada, but you always wonder, could it happen to us? And then on Monday morning, we saw it happening to us. So I was shocked, and we were dismayed by it and disturbed.
Well, multiple businesses in the area, including a Starbucks, Sobeys, and banks, they were also targeted with graffiti. And police say that they're looking into at least 7 incidents and that the service's hate crime unit has been notified.
And the United Jewish Appeal released a statement in that recent part. We are committed to strengthening our local Jewish community in the face of rising hate, the latest example of which is the shameful targeting of multiple Jewish sites and businesses in Vaughan with anti-Semitic graffiti.
A motorcyclist has died following a crash in Clarington.
The collision happened on Highway 2 between Highway 418 and Solina Road around noon. Durham Regional Police say the rider lost control, went off the road, and was thrown from the bike. He was airlifted to a trauma center, but succumbed to his injuries. There's no word yet on what caused the motorcyclist to veer off the roadway.
And police are trying to identify a man in connection with multiple disturbing incidents inside a Pickering pharmacy.
Yeah, this is a photo of the suspect taken inside of a Rexall on Whites Road last Friday. Police say the man began speaking with an employee stocking shelves when he allegedly exposed himself and committed an indecent act. Police say the man then approached a shopper and attempted to film up their dress. Anyone who recognizes the man asked to come forward.
It's 5:05, 26 degrees, feeling more like 36 outside. Let's get a check on the 5 o'clock commute with Adjo Ntiyabois. Adj, I mean, how is it out there?
Be real with us, Adj.
It's slow. It's just not moving. You need patience if you're headed out. To be expected in the GTA, though, and adding to that, you know, there's always problems that pop up, and I'm watching one now. This is the southbound 427 on-ramp that takes you to the eastbound Gardner. It's the right lane and shoulder that is blocked following this collision. So if you're on the 427, that's the drive that's being impacted the most. Very, very busy from well before Burnhamthorpe. Trying to get out of downtown, you have sunshine blinding your drive, as well as delays and long-term roadwork. So it's slow as you head up from Cherry Street through the construction. We had problems on the 401 westbound west of James Snow. Collision was in the right lane and shoulder, just watched it clear moments ago, and getting busier on the 410 northbound as you make your way into Brampton. Outside of camera view on city streets, getting word of a collision on Queen and Ronsonsville. I'll send it back to you both.
This CP24 traffic report is brought to you by 407 ETR. Enjoy the journey with a stress-free commute.
It is the first afternoon rush hour since bus lanes were added to a stretch of Spadina, all in an attempt to reduce traffic.
Yeah, that's a magic word, traffic. And speaking of, let's go live to CP24's Melissa Duggan, who's at front in Spadina, to find out, okay, Melissa, are the lanes making a difference?
It's still got that new dedicated bus lane smell out here. We're still learning how this all works, it seems like, at this point. The reason why there is this dedicated bus lane, by the way, is because this 510 Spadina line, one of the busiest streetcar routes in the city, no longer has streetcars. They've been removed from here as of last month because there's construction, there's repair work on the track below, power lines above. So replacement buses have been moving along this stretch since June. But that is causing traffic chaos. Travel times at some points of the day have tripled. And because of that, Deputy Mayor Asma Malik, she put forward a proposal saying, let's do something about this. She made an urgent call for action. And that is why we are seeing, as of today, a dedicated bus lane between Richmond and Lakeshore, just along Spadina going southbound. So what have we been observing today? Well, there is some confusion, especially when it comes to turning lanes. So we do see some vehicles on this lane right now. That's okay at this point, because they're going to be turning right. But otherwise, that's not okay. I've been talking with some TTC riders saying, have they noticed a difference so far? Do they think this will help things? Here's what they're telling me.
It's very busy. Like sometimes the bus doesn't come like very often, so you have to wait here a lot of time.
What has your experience been like?
Yeah, I remember one time we were coming to the well, and it took us like almost an hour from Spadina station to get here, when it should normally take us like 15 minutes, so it's been really busy.
So will this dedicated bus lane help out, do you think?
With Toronto traffic, I don't think so.
All right, so a little skeptical there. Here's the money shot for you, though. We are looking at the intersection at Front and Spadina. This is where we see cars turning right onto Spadina. They can't go into that immediate lane. They've got to go into the next one. And some traffic officers have been helping with directing people, but there's certainly been a lot of honking along the way. This doesn't come for free, by the way, Bakari and Lena. It's going to be about $240,000 in all to put these new bike lanes or these bus lanes into place, all the paint we see here, and then removing it later on. The city also going to be losing money when it comes to parking that they may have picked up in some sections here. And it's expected to stick around until the new year. That's when construction is set to be finished on the streetcar lines, and those streetcars will return and these buses will disappear. That's the plan right now. Back to you.
All right, Melissa Duggan live along the Spadina tonight. Thanks so much. It's 5:10, 26 degrees. This is Live at 5.
Okay, coming up, 6 more people. They're sick after consuming plant-based milk beverages in the wake of a national recall of products contaminated with listeria.
The mayor of Jasper, Alberta, is coming to the defense of Parks Canada following the wildfires that devastated that town. The agency is being accused of not doing enough to clear dead trees around the community that critics say were a fire hazard. Jasper's mayor says there were so many dead trees in the national park that removing all of them would have been impossible. He says his town and Parks Canada were aware of the risks and took steps to prepare. The wildfires destroyed more than 30% of the town's buildings. And King Charles and Queen Camilla are thanking emergency personnel that stepped up to help battle wildfires that ravaged Alberta's Jasper National Park last week. The King called Jasper a truly magical place, offering up his thoughts to those who have lost their homes and property and have had to relocate. And we spoke to the owner of the Takara Lodge in Jasper about the devastation.
We've had this property in the family since 1972. It's been a labor of love. It's been one of our great joys to be able to share it with thousands and thousands of visitors from Alberta, from around the world. And it's a magical place. And now our job is going to have to rebuild it while maintaining the magic.
Nearly 360 wildfires are continuing to rage across British Columbia. The central and southeastern parts of the province are among the hardest hit. The fires have forced hundreds of people to flee their homes in the village of Slocan.
Well, the Public Health Agency of Canada says that 18 illnesses have been linked to a recall of plant-based milk products from earlier this month. Nearly 20 silk and great value products that were pulled from the shelves July 8th due to a potential listeria contamination. 13 people have been hospitalized across 4 provinces, with 2 deaths being reported. Symptoms can include vomiting, nausea, and a persistent fever. Okay, Microsoft says that it believes issues with its networks, they've mostly been addressed after users were not able to access some of its programs today. The tech giant blames the technical difficulties involving its Microsoft 365 programs, like Outlook, Word, and Excel, on an unexpected usage spike. Well, the company is still investigating reports of intermittent errors in some regions.
Microsoft, that sort of unexpected usage spike excuse that they used, basically traffic was higher than they expected to. It overwhelmed certain components of their Azure cloud services. Azure is Microsoft's brand for the cloud services that run underneath all of their popular services like Office 365, like Teams, like even Minecraft, which they own. And they also provide those services to other companies. So if you're a large organization and you need cloud services, you subscribe to Microsoft's Azure. And so any company that you deal with, a bank, a government agency, they will use these services too. And in fact, a number of them were affected today.
And less than 2 weeks ago, Microsoft experienced widespread technical difficulties because of a routine software update from cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike. A new report shows data breaches in Canada hit a record high this year. IBM says that the average number of records compromised in the country, it rose to more than 27,000. So the study found that Canadian organizations hit by data breaches, they've paid an average of $6.3 million to resolve the incident. The report looked at 16 countries, and Canada had the 6th highest cost behind nations including the U.S., Germany, and Italy.
It is 5:15, 26 degrees. This is Live at 5.
Okay, Canada takes home silver today at the Paris 2024 Summer Games. We're going to take a look at all the medal standings when we come back.
Welcome back. Team Canada now has 6 medals at the Paris Games after the women's rugby sevens captured some hardware today.
Okay, so right now we're joined live by CP24's Andrew Brennan for the details. Okay, Andrew, count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Keep going.
I can't. That's the amount we have.
But there's going to be more.
6 medals. But also, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. But we're probably going to get more. We just have to get there first, Bakari. Let the athletes do their thing, and then we'll do our thing and we'll talk about it. So let's talk about the rugby sevens for the women's side. For starters, it was a complete upset getting Canada to the gold medal game. They defeated Australia and then took on the reigning, New Zealand is the best team in the world. We have to say that. And they also were, they're the most decorated in Olympic history. That being said, even though the Black Ferns came out, they do that haka to intimidate the opponents. Canada surprised New Zealand, and in the first half, we're leading 12-7. Yes, New Zealand did come back. Canada was scoreless in the second half, but surprising Australia, beating them, getting to the gold medal game, and then almost, halfway through, it seemed like they would be taking gold. Pretty darn good, if I, as a non-rugby player, do say so myself. Now let's talk about another team who's doing some pretty good work at the Olympic Games, the men's basketball team for Team Canada. They are still undefeated in the group stage. They defeated Australia today 93-83. I'm seeing a pretty good pattern here. Canada beats Australia. Doesn't sound all that bad. And 93-83 the final score. R.J. Barrett had 24 points for Canada. So they are still undefeated and looking to keep that streak going. Now let's head to the swimming pool. Now in the 100-meter backstroke, we had 2 Canadians that were very, very, very close from getting on the podium, but unfortunately, no. Kylie Moss was about 3 deciseconds, so 0.3 seconds off of getting on the podium and taking bronze, and she was under a second off the top time for the winner, who was an American, who, by the way, got an Olympic record in this event. So pretty good from Moss to get 4th there, and then Ingrid Wilm took 6. Now, speaking of the swimming pool, let's talk about Summer McIntosh, Canada's newest phenom. She has 2 medals so far. We heard from her dad today.
It was an amazing, less than a minute to really kind of think about all the sacrifices that she's made, that our family has made, and it was all worth it for that 1 second. And when she touched the ball, to see her smile like that was just absolutely a beautiful moment.
A very proud dad right there, and a very proud country cheering her on as she continues her glory days at the Olympics this year.
Okay, CP24's Andrew Brennan with the Olympics update. Thanks, Andrew. Well, a hearing was held today at the Court of Arbitration for Sports Tribunal. This is after the Canadian Olympic Committee, as well as Canada Soccer, appealed a point deduction from FIFA. This all goes back to the drone spying scandal.
Yeah, that scandal still plaguing the team. The Canadian women's team deducted 6 points after a staff member was found to have flown a drone over the New Zealand team's practice session last week. Head coach Bev Priestman has been suspended by FIFA for a year and sent home by Team Canada. The 6-point deduction means despite Canada's 2 wins to open the Olympic tournament, they still sit at 0 points in their group. And we spoke to Mike Van Solen, partner at communications firm Oyster Group, about what is next for the national team.
Canada Soccer has handled this poorly. They've first of all, it's always when you get caught in a situation like this, you need to come out right away and be really clear, share all the information. And we had a couple days where they tried to kind of saw off the scandal in half. They weren't directly clear with Canadians and with their players with what was going on. That only made it worse. And so they now find themselves in a more difficult situation because it took Bev Priestman some time to be honest with where they were and to come fully out and finally apologize. She's now done that, but even that couple days delay put this in a more difficult situation than it could have been otherwise.
Well, the Canadian women still have a chance to advance out of their group. That's despite the 6-point deduction. So it comes down to this. They need a victory against Colombia. That's tomorrow.
It is 5:22 now, 26 degrees. You're watching Live at 5.
Well, the Jays have traded Trevor Richards. More on trade deadline day coming up with Phil Perkins.
We are less than an hour from that MLB trade deadline we've been telling you all about.
Yeah, okay, for a look at what moves the Jays have made and maybe what moves there are left to make with, half an hour. Let's turn to CP24's Phil Perkins. Okay, Phil, so they have 35 minutes left. What do you see happen? Oh, wait, let's just make it easy. What has happened?
Okay, what has happened right now? Some things have happened today. It was pretty quiet, not going to lie. Seems like everything happened last night. But we do know that the Blue Jays have traded the reliever Trevor Richards to the Minnesota Twins for shortstop Jay Harry. He's a 22-year-old. He's right now with the Cedar Rapids Colonels, so he is definitely a pickup for the future. In total, the Blue Jays have been pretty busy. They've traded away 6 of their current crop of players and have got in return 11 prospects, some built for the future, some who could contribute right now. So we do know that Yusei Kikuchi, our pitcher, has been traded to the Houston Astros for 3 prospects. 2 of them we could maybe see towards the end of the season. Now, right-handed pitcher Jake Bloss is only 23 years old. He is the Astros' number 2 prospect. He's in Buffalo right now. He's going to be suiting up for the Bisons. He could potentially be called up to the big club. 25-year-old Joey Loperfido is an outfielding prospect. He has been playing with the Astros. We understand from Ben Nicholson-Smith, who works for Rogers. He is on the Blue Jays payroll. He's their beat reporter. He says that he is going to Baltimore right now to join the Jays. They're taking on the Orioles currently. And they also picked up the Astros' number 19 overall prospect in Will Wagner. He does have the bloodlines, though. His dad, Billy, is in the Astros Hall of Fame. And yesterday, again, as I mentioned, was more of the active day in terms of trades. Justin Turner, the designated hitter, and cash was sent to the Pacific Northwest to the Seattle Mariners in return for outfielder R.J. Schreck. And that on top with other players that have been traded over time. Danny Jansen, Nate Pearson, Yimi Garcia, Kevin Biggio. And earlier today, we spoke with Adam Peddle on the Blue Jays Today pod. He mentioned some things that could potentially move in the next 30 minutes or so. Here's what he had to say.
The easy ones that are going to be traded away would be a Trevor Richards or a Kevin Kiermaier if the market is there. Now, very interesting 2 players that I want to keep an eye on is Isaiah Kiner-Falefa and a Chad Green. Now, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa and Chad Green are both under contracts into 2025. However, when you look at the market right now, a lot of teams would really pay up for an Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. And for Chad Green, the reliever market is extremely expensive this year. So if the Blue Jays are looking for a flip on return and try to get as many prospects back as soon as possible, guys who maybe could be ready to play in 2025, 2026, then Chad Green would be the guy to look for.
All right, well, it's not Chad Green. According to, again, the Blue Jays beat reporters, Chad Green he says that he's staying with the team. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, he was supposedly going to be activated for the Jays as soon as Friday, but that's not going to happen anymore. We got breaking trade news right now. So Jeff Passan, who is the guy when it comes to MLB trades or everything MLB, he said the Pittsburgh Pirates are finalizing a deal to acquire super utility man, not just utility man, super utility, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa from the Toronto Blue Jays. Sources tell ESPN we don't know what the Jays are getting in return, but he has had a good season. In a season where the City Connect jerseys was the best part of the season, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa was definitely one of the bright spots on this. So it should be interesting to see what kind of prospects they're going to get in return. So he's off to Pittsburgh. That's a great baseball town. They got a super cool pitcher, and it's only a 5-hour drive. So if you miss him, you can drive over and see him. So that's breaking right now. No one else is doing this except we're doing the live breaking trade news right now.
Okay, CP24's Phil Perkins. Thank you.
Thanks for the breaking news, Phil. It's 5:28, 26 degrees. You're watching Live at 5.
And police are not sure if a Markham woman who's been missing since Thursday, if she's still alive. An update on the search for Ying Zhang next. At this hour, the search continues for a Markham woman missing under suspicious circumstances. Investigators believe that she was kidnapped.
Vandalism at multiple businesses and a synagogue in Thornhill is being investigated as a suspected hate crime. We'll tell you more about that tonight.
And easing congestion to Spadina, the busy stretch, it gets a dedicated bus lane, but will it help the afternoon commute? We'll tell you.
And we are less than 30 minutes away from the MLB trade deadline. We'll tell you what the Jays did today coming up.
This is Live at 5.
Good evening, and thank you for being with us. I'm Lena Latafat.
And I'm Bakari Savage. So it is the first afternoon rush hour since bus lanes were added to a stretch of Spadina. This is in an attempt to hopefully reduce traffic,
Yeah,
right?
That's the hope. Let's go live to CP24's Melissa Duggan, who's at front in Spadina to find out if the lanes are actually making a difference. What are you seeing, Melissa?
Hey, Lena, so anybody watching this right now, you are not stuck in traffic, but these people are here on Spadina. And the idea is that this dedicated bus lane might help ease some of the congestion. Right now, though, sure looks like a lot of people are waiting. The reason why we have this dedicated bus lane as of today, this is the very first evening rush we're seeing it being used, is because there are no longer streetcars that are going down this route, the 510 route, one of the busiest in the city. That's because the TTC is doing track work, power line work, and that is going to be sticking around until the end of the year. Until then, replacement buses are going along this stretch. But what has happened as we've seen these buses come along this route is that travel time has increased significantly, at some points tripling travel times. So Deputy Mayor Ozma Malik, she went to City Hall saying, we need something urgent to happen real soon. The idea was proposing this bus lane so that between Richmond and Lakeshore, buses could zip through more easily, and then those two other lanes in this 3 lanes of traffic will just be for vehicles. We've been talking with some TTC riders today, asking them, do they think this is going to make a difference? Here's what they're telling me.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough thing to police. That's the other thing. I don't see a lot of city officials or watch guards keeping an eye on it from a quality control perspective. So it's going to be a bit of a free-for-all.
I think that's good for the people who don't have cars, but if you have a car, then it might be a little unfortunate because traffic's already bad here, right?
I'm thinking about drivers, too, that normally take this route. Might have come as a surprise to you today when you see the word bus painted on this lane and finding out that you can't go into it because you are not a bus. So I think there's going to be some education involved as people get used to this new program. It's not permanent, though. It's only going to stick around until that streetcar repair work is finished, and that's expected to happen sometime in the new year. By the way, Lena Makari, this is just for southbound lanes. That's where this change is happening. We're keeping a watch on it right now. It looks like, yeah, it's still pretty busy out here. Back to you.
Okay, talking traffic along Spadina, CP24's Melissa Duggan. And speaking of traffic, let's check in with CP24's traffic specialist, Adjo Nsia for a look at the rest of the roads in and around the GTA. Adj.
Yeah, Bakari is still watching a lot of problems. You're stuck in traffic, basically on all of the major routes, and then you're running into problems. This is on the southbound 427 on-ramp that takes you to the eastbound Gardner. Find that right lane as well as the right shoulder blocked because of the situation. It is really slow on the southbound 427. Now we're seeing some heavy rainfall. That almost looks like hail on these camera view, but it is backed up from Burnhamthorpe. As the rain comes down, just drive with a lot of extra care and caution. Rain-free still on the DVP, seeing sunshine, delays from Dundas up to the 401. And if you're traveling on it to the 401, still wet as you make your way in towards Milton, into Mississauga, opens up into Etobicoke, where we're seeing rain-free. We're just seeing some volume delays. Also getting word of a pretty serious demonstration. It is shut down a stretch of Sherbourne right underneath the Gardner at the Lakeshore. I'll send it back to you both.
All right, Adjoa, thanks so much. Well, the search for a missing Markham woman has now shifted to Kawartha Lakes.
Okay, for the latest on the disappearance of Ying Zhang, let's go live to CP24's Beatrice Vaisman, who's near Woodbine and Stills. Beatrice, this is where Zhang was last seen, right?
It was absolutely Thursday afternoon. Bakari and Lena, this is where Ying Zhang, 57 years old, was seen at her workplace. It's a wellness center. But I want to take you where our cameras found York Regional Police officers trying to track Zhang's latest movements. This is Kirkfield out in the Kawartha Lakes, where we saw officers wearing, the white, almost jumper-like suits, trying to comb a wooded rural section in Kawartha Lakes. This is a countryside area. They were looking for clues there as to what happened to Ying Zhang. This is about 90 minutes from this location here in York Region. An OPP cruiser was seen blocking the road. This is Palestine Road, but it was York Regional Police officers who were there on scene, and York Police confirming to CP24 earlier today that in fact their investigators have been out that way searching multiple different properties for the whereabouts or any information or clues that could lead them to Zhang. This 57-year-old woman, as I mentioned, was working here at her wellness center workplace. She did not return home from work, and her family reported her missing to York police. She's not been seen or heard from since. Incredibly troubling to her family. York police have since charged a 26-year-old man, Changlin Yang from East Gwillimbury. He's facing a number of charges in connection with Zhang's disappearance, including kidnapping, forcible confinement, and aggravated assault. Here's what York police had to tell us today about this case.
Most importantly, we released a video of a white van, Ford van, with Ontario license plate BZ43851, which we believe to be related to this case. And we've also released images of a large green wheel bin that was seen in the area of Steelcase and Woodbine at the time of the offense. We're appealing for any other witnesses that may have seen this vehicle or this bin to come forward. Similarly, we have information on the afternoon of the 25th. That van traveled to the Kawartha Lakes area, close to the city of Kirkfield. And anyone that may have seen this van there or this bin there, we're also appealing to contact the police.
And let's show you that van now so that our viewers know what to keep an eye out for. Maybe it'll jog a memory. This is the van that police say left this area around the time of Zhang's disappearance. And as you heard from Constable Dixon, that van was seen out in Kirkfield, again, 90 minutes northeast of Markham that same day. And the garbage bin, you heard Constable Dixon as well. A photograph of that green bin has been also released by police in hopes that this might, remind someone of something they saw last Thursday. As always, if you have information, give York Police a call. Police at this point have not revealed the connection between the 26-year-old man they've arrested and charged and the missing 57-year-old woman, but certainly her family is holding on to hope that they might see her return home safely, though York Police, Bakari and Lena, could not say for sure if they think Zhang is still alive. Back to you.
All right, Beatrice Faceman reporting live from Markham tonight. Thank you, Beatrice. We'll take you to York Region now, where police are investigating pro-Palestinian and anti-Israel graffiti in a predominantly Jewish neighborhood in Vaughan as a suspected hate crime.
Now, one of the incidents was captured on security camera video. The footage, it shows someone right here dressed in a Halloween mask and dark clothing, writing Free Gaza on the sign for a synagogue on Yonge Street in Thornhill. Free Palestine was also painted on the building's window.
As a Jewish person, it makes me feel unsafe here in Canada because many of us came to Canada with, as a country that is tolerant and free, and there's a lot of freedoms here for which we are very grateful. And you kind of hope that everybody would embrace a place of freedom where we can express ourselves without fear of retaliation and damage to property.
And multiple businesses in the area, including a Starbucks, Sobeys, and banks, were also targeted with graffiti. Police say they're looking into at least 7 incidents and that the service's hate crime unit has been notified.
The United Jewish Appeal released a statement that reads in part, quote, "We are committed to strengthening our local Jewish community in the face of rising hate. The latest example of which is the shameful targeting of multiple Jewish sites and businesses in Vaughan with anti-Semitic graffiti."
A motorcyclist has died following a crash in Clarington.
Yeah, the collision occurred on Highway 2 between Highway 418 and Salina Road. This was around noon today. Durham Regional Police say that the rider lost control, went off the road, and was thrown from the motorcycle. He was airlifted to a trauma center, but succumbed to his injuries. There's no word yet on what caused the motorcyclist to veer off the road.
And police are trying to identify a man in connection with multiple disturbing incidents inside a Pickering pharmacy. This is a photo of the suspect taken inside of a Rexall on Whites Road last Friday. Police say the man began speaking with an employee stocking shelves when he allegedly exposed himself and committed an indecent act. Police say the man then approached a shopper and attempted to film up their dress. Anyone who recognizes this man is asked to come forward.
An arrest has been made in the theft of a watch from a downtown jewelry store. 31-year-old Howard Ma was arrested Sunday and has been charged with theft over $5,000. So police say last Wednesday, the accused walked into the store at Bay and Bloor and requested to try on a watch. He then ran away from the area without paying. So the watch was valued at $43,000. That has been recovered, and Ma is scheduled to appear in court in September.
It's 5:40, 26 degrees. This is Live at 5.
Yeah, coming up, the latest on the Microsoft network issues that some users experience today. Microsoft says that it believes issues with its networks have mostly been addressed. This is after users were not able to access some of its programs today. The tech giant blames the technical difficulties involving its Microsoft 365 programs like Outlook, Word, and Excel on an unexpected usage spike. The company is still investigating reports of intermittent errors in some regions. And tech analyst Carmi Levy says that any tech giant showing a moment of vulnerability exposes users to potential cyber threats.
And even though this wasn't a cyber attack, there was a lot of chaos, a lot of uncertainty. No one really knew what was going on. And so what cyber criminals do, they leapfrog, they jump in on top of that. They'll start spamming us with messages in our email inboxes, our text messages, so even social media direct messages with offers of help, claiming to be from Microsoft. Click on this link, and then we'll restore your services. So it looks like it's legitimate, but it clearly isn't, designed to catch us in a moment of confusion. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there who take the bait. They don't slow things down to kind of recognize, wait a second, there was an outage. Maybe I should back away from the precipice.
Okay, less than 2 weeks ago, Microsoft experienced widespread technical difficulties because of a routine software update from cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike.
Well, a new report shows data breaches in Canada hit a record high this year. IBM says the average number of records compromised in the country rose to more than 27,000. The study found Canadian organizations hit by data breaches have paid an average of $6.3 million to resolve the incidents. The report looked at 16 countries, and Canada had the sixth highest costs behind nations including the U.S., Germany, and Italy. Well, the Coalition Against Workplace Discrimination says the government hasn't gone far enough to address the findings of an internal report on racism and discrimination. The report says Black and racialized Privy Council office employees describe being passed over for opportunities given to their white colleagues. The group says the government hasn't implemented equitable hiring practices such as name-blind screening and third-party hiring. The release of the internal investigation comes as Ottawa fights an ongoing class action lawsuit that alleges around 30,000 Black civil servants lost out on opportunities and benefits because of their race, dating back to the 70s. Well, rents in the GTA and Hamilton area have dropped for the first time in 3 years. That's according to a report from Urbanation, which says average condo rents on new leases were down 1.2% in the second quarter compared with last year. It says rent for the April to June stretch averaged just over $2,700 for an apartment with less than 700 square feet. The president of Urbanation says this is likely just a blip due to a spike in condo completions.
Well, the Public Health Agency of Canada says that 18 illnesses have been linked to a recall of plant-based milk products from earlier this month. Nearly 20 silk and great value products that were pulled from the shelves July 8th due to a potential listeria contamination. 13 people have been hospitalized across 4 provinces. 2 people have died. Well, symptoms can include vomiting, nausea, and a persistent fever.
It's 5:46, 25 degrees. You're watching Live at 5.
Yeah, Canada takes home silver today at the Paris 2024 Summer Games. We're going to take a look at the medal standings when we come back. Our Team Canada now has 6 medals at the Paris Games after the women's rugby sevens captured some hardware today.
And we're joined live by CP24's Andrew Brennan for all the details. You've been counting the medals, haven't you, Andrew?
I've been doing a great job counting the medals. I don't know if anyone was watching earlier on, but I can count up to 6 now, and that's an accomplishment for all of us. So yes, Canada does have 6 medals. We're not doing the count voice again, but just to confirm, we have 2 golds, so that puts us in 9th place for the gold medal tally and also 9th place for the total cumulative medal tally. It depends on how you want to go with this. But moral of the story is we can look at all the great things done today, including Canada's Rugby Sevens women's side doing a lot of surprising work on the pitch today. So for starters, surprising and blanking Australia to get into the gold medal game. Australia was the odds-on favorite for that match. And then after that, Canada was at the half in the gold medal game against the one of the best teams in the world, if not the best, New Zealand, leading 12-7. But then, unfortunately, New Zealand did come back and took it 19-12. But there's nothing to shake a stick at when you are, 1, leading for much of the game against the world number 1, and then 2, taking home a silver medal. Not bad at all. Let's move on now and talk about the basketball. And the Canadian men's basketball team, as of right now, they're doing some pretty good work. They're undefeated in the group stage. They defeated Australia. You may notice a pattern there. Canada beating Australia. 93-83, the final score today. RJ Barrett was leading the way with 24 points. Not long ago, we did have a potential next medal, but Kylie Moss coming just 0.3 seconds off of getting on the podium for the 100-meter backstroke. She came in fourth. Fellow Canadian Ingrid Wilm coming in sixth. Both of them doing very well. And there's still plenty of races left to go, by the way. But Canada's first gold medal belongs to Krista Deguchi. The Lethbridge, Alberta judoka in the 57-kilogram category took gold yesterday, and she's telling us now a little bit about how surreal this feels.
I feel the weight on my neck, but I really don't feel that I've done it today. And I'm part of the history, right? I'm surprised with that, and I'm very honored to be the part of Canada.
Honored and part of history. Certainly feeling like that, and certainly definitely that as well. Back to you both.
Okay, CP24's Andrew Brennan with the medal count. Thanks, Andrew. Right now it's 5:52, 24 degrees, feeling like 35 outside. This is Live at 5.
Well, the Jays have traded Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. It's official. We're going to have more on trade deadline day coming up. Phil Perkins is all over this.
So we're about 5 minutes and some change away from the MLB trade deadline.
Yeah, and for a look at what moves the Jays have made, let's bring in CP24's Phil Perkins. You've been breaking some news for us, Phil. What else you got?
Okay, well, Lena Bakari, it seems like Ross Atkins, much maligned Blue Jays GM, is kind of like us in university, maybe not Lena, but, running out to putting your assignment in right at the last second, like, oh my God, trying to, refrain from getting that 10% deduction. He is making these trades in the last second, the last 30 minutes. So officially, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is being traded to the Pittsburgh Pirates. They're on the rise. They're getting 22-year-old third baseman / outfielder Charles McAdoo. He has been back and forth in the minor leagues right now. He has 63 RBIs, 14 home runs, and 87 minor league games. I'm already seeing Pirates Twitter getting very upset that they're losing him for IKF. We also understand that reliever Trevor Richards, he's going to the Minnesota Twins for a 22-year-old, shortstop Jay Harry. He's playing with the Cedar Rapids Colonels. So again, this is very much planning for the future. So far in this last couple of months, really, the Jays have traded away 7 of their current players and have received now 12 prospects. Now, yesterday wasn't even an equally busy day, but this was a big haul for the Blue Jays, sending Yusei Kikuchi to the Houston Astros for a 23-year-old pitcher by the name of Jake Blas. He is right now in Buffalo. He could contribute to the team sometime this year. 25-year-old outfielder Joey LaPerfido. He is currently playing with the Astros right now. He was heartbroken to be traded, but he is excited to join the team. He is reportedly on a plane to Baltimore to join the big club as they take on the O's. And they also got Will Wagner. This is definitely a prospect for the future. He is 26 years old, but he's got the bloodlines. His dad is in the Astros Hall of Fame. And Justin Turner, yesterday, that started this all. He got traded to the Seattle Mariners for outfielder R.J. Shrek. So again, Ross Atkins, much maligned this season. Did he save his job with all these trades for the future? We'll have to see. The door's about to close in 4 minutes. Maybe there's one more trade. We'll see what happens. But it's been busy.
Yeah, maybe there's more of that to come. Phil Perkins reporting live.
To do it, yeah.
Thanks so much, Phil.
No problem.
We'll check back in with you if that does happen.
Okay, so the Jays are in the midst of a 4-game series in Baltimore. This is against the Orioles.
Finished up with the Baltimore Orioles, and Guerrero rips that one fair down the left field line into the corner.
Yesterday saw the teams play a doubleheader with the Jays, walking away with an 8-4 win in the second game. They bounced back after losing the first game 11-5. They're back at it today, just a bit actually, 6:35.
Okay, so Blue Jays fans who purchased a 50-50 ticket at the Rogers Center might be a little bit richer. The Jays Care Foundation is looking for one lucky fan that has won $825,000 from a ticket sold at the Rogers Center July 21st in a game against the Detroit Tigers. So the winning ticket number, it can be found on the Jays Care website, and the winner has 90 days to claim their prize.
Well, the GT20 Canada competition is back for another year in Brampton.
Yeah, 6 teams, including some of the top cricket players in the world and in Canada, they're taking part in the tournament. The competition is watched in over 140 countries with an expected audience of more than 180 million people. Organizers hope that GT20 will help take the sport to the next level. Here in Canada, that's where it's already growing in popularity.
I think it's very important because what happens is that your domestic players rarely get a chance to play with the top international talents. What happens in a tournament like this is you share the dressing room with players who are the best in the world, and the kind of advice and the kind of stuff that they give the other players, the inspiration, the advice, the kind of guidance they give, the kind of coaches also who come. You have people like Dave Watmore, who's a World Cup winning coach. All these guys are here, Richard Pybus, all these are famous coaches around the world. So the kind of guidance that they get, the game immediately jumps.
Okay, there's still plenty of time to watch the tournament. The GT20 runs through August 11th.
Well, the northern lights may be visible over parts of Canada for the next few days. Could be really cool.
The aurora borealis may be seen across most of Canada and the northern U.S. due to geomagnetic storms and the sun's energy and electrically charged particles causing northern lights, which usually present as a milky greenish color. The likelihood of seeing the northern lights is expected to be lower for areas near the U.S.-Canada border. And you know what? I've always wanted to experience this.
I've never done it too. Would be so cool. Who knows? Maybe the next couple of days. You're watching Toronto's breaking news, CP24. It could happen. Thank you for watching.
CTV News at 6 is next.